Welcome to episode 18 of the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. Today we talk about the lies you tell yourself. We discuss those pesky lies you tell yourself, the ones that you sometimes believe are true. Everyone tells them some kind of lie about themselves, and in this episode we break them down and we break them apart. Let's get started. This is the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast, and I'm Kim McLaughlin, your host. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, inspirational coach, speaker, and best-selling author. I help people feed their soul by putting food in its proper place as nourishment and helping them develop more functional ways to manage their life, emotions, and all that goes on around them. I wanted to read some more books this summer, and I had some on my shelf, and one kind of spoke to me, and I really went all in and read it pretty quickly. It's the book from Rachel Hollis called Girl, Wash Your Face. It's been talked about a lot, and she even has a newer book than that, so I know I'm not with the most current book, but I really liked the book because she got really personal. She shared a lot of information about herself, and it showed me, and I think as she talked, she showed the world, her audience, that she's not perfect. And I think when we see people who have kind of a public life, that we think that they have this perfect life and that they don't have any of the struggles the rest of us have. She discussed that she actually tells herself lies, and that was how each of the chapter was sectioned out, was the lies that we tell ourselves. And it's about the lies that we tell ourselves and we believe. I thought that was a great idea for a podcast because I think we tell ourselves a lot of lies, even more lies than what she talks about in her book. And I wanted to go into some of those lies, some of the lies that she talks about, but some of the lies that I hear people talk about a lot. Those lies are the pesky ways our mind keeps us stuck. I want you to think about it. Do you tell yourself lies? Do you lie about what you are to yourself? When I talk about lying, I don't mean you lie to people about what you do or what you don't do, but it's really about how you see yourself and what you tell yourself. I think this happens for men and for women, but I find especially with women, we tell ourselves a lot of lies, and we then believe those lies to be true. Rachel spent a whole book talking about these lies, and some of them are worth going over right now because they fit in really well with what we talk about when we talk about overeating, emotional eating, how to get in touch with our body, and how to get in touch with the things that we say to ourselves. The lies that she talked about that she says to herself really made me reflect on my life and myself and all the times that I've lied to myself about how I see myself and what I think about myself, and also what I think other people think about me. It really shows how that mind chatter can keep us stuck in ways that are really detrimental to ourselves and our feeling of wholeness and our feeling of peace within ourselves, which is all about, or this is what this podcast is all about. Some of the lies Rachel talks about in her book, and there are a lot of them. If you want to read the book, I suggest reading it. There's a lot of really interesting ideas that she presents. But some of the lies that she talked about that I really resonated with were, one of the lies was, something else will make me happy. And I even thought that it's, what is it that I think of that I think will make me happy? It could be, I think that someone will make me happy. Having a baby will make me happy. Losing weight will make me happy. Being married will make me happy. Having a job, a lot of money will make me happy. And those are the thoughts that we have that really can keep us stuck with the idea that we have to have these things on the outside of us for us to be happy. And we lose track of it being an inside job. Another lie that Rachel talked about is the lie that I'll start tomorrow. And I found that interesting because I can't tell you how many people I talk to that talk about procrastination, me included. Procrastination is a huge way that we keep ourselves stuck. And I think about it that when we talk about, I'll start tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. The problem is that when tomorrow comes, we say, well, I'll start tomorrow. And then when that day comes, we'll say, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow never really happens. And tomorrow is really a construct of putting off what we're afraid to do or what we're concerned we might be challenged on by other people. And it really made me think that idea of I'll start tomorrow really holds me back from really achieving and doing the things that I want to do. Another lie that Rachel talks about is I'm not good enough. That is a constant theme that I have and a lot of people that I talk to have, that we see that we're not good enough to reach the goals that we set, or that we can compare ourselves that I'm not good enough in comparison to somebody else. And we then hold ourselves back from being in our greatness. I don't know about you, but I have many times held myself back from my greatness because I thought I wasn't good enough to do something. And it's really the death of all dreams. That idea when I think I am not good enough, when I tell myself that, I am undercutting any dream that I have and stopping it from moving forward. Another lie that Rachel talks about is the lie that I am defined by my weight. This is a common occurrence in many people who overeat, emotionally eat, and overdiet, that we think that we are defined by the weight, by the size of our body, by the number on the scale, or by the size of the clothes that we have. And it's really a way that we can use to keep ourselves stuck, to keep ourselves in a place of holding back from being fully engaged in life. And I want you to consider, how many times have you let your weight define who you are and define what you can and can't do? Do you hold yourself back from going to parties or going to high school reunions or going out to swim and using a bathing suit or wearing a top that's a little bit more revealing? Do you hold yourself back from living life because of your weight? What really you could be doing is, underneath all of it, is that you're telling yourself that lie that who you are is defined by your weight. Another way of looking at that is that we say that we're not a good enough person because of our weight. In that way, our weight defines who we are on the inside. We can think that we're not good people, or that we're not worthy of life, or we're not worthy of being in amazing situations because of the weight on our body. And I want you to think about how that lie keeps you stuck and keeps you focused on negativity towards your body and negativity towards the number on the scale. I wanted to add on to the list of what Rachel talked about, and there's some of the lies that I tell myself, and I think a lot of you do too. One of the lies that we tell ourselves is, I'll never change, I'll never be different, I can't do this. That idea that I can never get beyond where I am today. And what I think of is, the more we tell ourselves I'll never change, is we actually make that true. That then becomes our truth, because we then don't do anything. If we say I'll never change, we don't do anything to make that kind of change. And this is how that lie keeps us stuck. Another lie that I hear a lot of people tell me is, I'm destined to overeat. I'm destined to overeat. I can't stop overeating. When you see or feel the food calling to you through cravings, through emotions, through the thoughts that you have, when you just think, I'm going to overeat, then that's where you keep yourself stuck. And it's a lie that you're destined to overeat. And the more you tell yourself that lie, the more you keep it going. So actually the lie perpetuates more of what you think you are. It becomes where we then manifest that negativity, that thing that we don't want. We manifest it even more because we continue to give into that thought. You've heard me tell you a lot of these lies that I think are untrue, and I'm talking about them because I want to make them more vocal and put them out there so you can consider whether they are lies that you've told yourself. What I think of when I say these lies, or what has happened actually, is I'll tell clients and people that I talk to that those things that they think in their head are not really true, and they'll then try and argue with me and tell me that they're actually being honest and being truthful when they say that they're defined by their weight, when they say that they're not good enough. They believe what their head is telling them. And it makes me feel sad when I hear that, because these people that I'm talking to are talented, creative, intelligent. They're not what they say they are. They think they are fat, unworthy, unlovable, worthless, hopeless. And these are those thoughts that keep them stuck. Truthfully, I've had those thoughts about myself where I thought I was defined by my weight, and I thought that I wasn't good enough. And I got to tell you, to be honest, those thoughts don't show up as much as they used to, but they do every once in a while. Those lies do show up, and they often show up at certain times where I'm not feeling good about myself, or where I'm feeling really stressed or overwhelmed. Those thoughts seem to come in, those lies seem to come in more often there. What I know is that these lies are not true. They're not true, and the more you tell yourself them, you're fooling yourself. And really what happens is the lies win. Those negative thoughts win, and you end up actually feeling worse about yourself. When we want to start thinking about those lies and start making some corrections around them, I want you to start noticing them. And how often do you tell yourself these lies? I suspect you tell yourself them monthly, weekly, daily, probably most hours, if not many minutes of the day. These thoughts just show up, and we tend to just believe them because they're there. Hi everyone, this is Kim, and my book is out. Feed Your Soul, Nourish Your Life, a 6-step system to peace with food is live. I recommend you get it. It has all my 6 components of feeding your soul, as well as my own story. Pick it up now. You can find it on my website at feedyoursoulunlimited.com. Thanks. So I've talked a lot about the different lies that you tell yourself. And now what are we going to do with it? I want you to start thinking about how you can start noticing when you're telling yourself these lies. First, notice if you're telling yourself the lies that I've brought up in this list. Are any of these lies on my list? Are they things that you say to yourself? That would be the first way to tell if they're coming up. When you say these lies out loud, do people look at you and tell you that you're wrong? If a friend came to you and told you this lie about themselves, would you tell them they were wrong? If a child came and told you this lie about themselves, would you tell them that they were wrong? And I want you to consider that that's actually what's happening to you, that you are telling yourself these things and they're wrong. If somebody else had said it to you, you would tell them that they were lovable and that they were wonderful and they needed to let go of those lies. When I think about these lies, I think about how they fit into our 6-step system to feed your soul. And remember, there are 6 components. There's the physical, there's the emotional, the mental, the lifestyle, mindfulness, and self-love. And when we're talking about all of these lies, I think it really fits in the area of the mental, which is the thoughts that we think. And it also fits in the area of self-love. So when we want to correct these lies, I think then the area we go to is the thoughts, that mental side, and start correcting those thoughts. And we start correcting that self-love and become more in love with ourselves. These lies come from a place of not loving ourselves, from having low self-esteem, low self-worth. And I think the more we shine the light on these lies, we then can release them. When we recognize them for what they are, which is a lie, they are a lie, we can then recognize what the truth is about ourselves. So if we're going to get into action, how do we start managing these lies? First thing I like to do is I like to notice them and then ask myself if they're true. When I notice my thoughts are negative, I try to ask myself what's going on and what's going on inside of myself that I'm sounding so negative. And that's really a good start for looking at these lies is, are you talking in a negative manner to yourself? Once we start noticing them, we can then do something about them. I'm not asking you to notice them in order to beat yourself up. I'm asking you to notice them so that you can do something about them. What we can do to manage them is one way is to write them down. And I know that can sound counterintuitive that we want to write them down, but I think it is a great action step to get in to write them down. I like the idea of unconscious journaling, where you write down everything that's in your head, all the negativity, and just get it to the page, get it out of your head. Some of the ways to manage those negative thoughts is after you've written them down is to shred the paper, to rip them up. I've been known to burn the papers back in my barbecue and just get rid of them because they're not something we want to keep forward in our head. What happens is the more we put them to the paper, the more we can let them go. Another way to manage these lies is to take a walk. Really being active can get us out of that head talk, that head trash as one of my friends calls it, and into what's real. When we're out in nature, we're in something that's beautiful. We're in something that's truthful and that's so special and sacred. And it really is harder to be negative when we're out walking in nature. Another thing I like to do is to listen to people that are positive, upbeat people, upbeat books, upbeat podcasts. Listen to people that are talking about success and feeling empowered and in creating great lives. The ones that are upbeat are the ones that are going to help you move out of these lies and into what is the truth of who you are. Another thing you can do is replace that negative talk. Remember, we talked about the negative is one way to know that the lies are coming forward is by hearing the negative talk in your head, and replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. I love the idea of positive affirmations. I love the idea of telling myself more of what is the truth. And it isn't like I can say, oh, I'm defined by my weight, so I'm going to say that I'm thin. What I could do is say, I love my body the way it is. I love myself the way that I am. And say something positive about myself to move into that positive frame of mind. Another way is to love on yourself. Love on yourself. Tell yourself how great you are. I don't think you do that very often. Listen to me. I'm telling you, you're great. You're fabulous. And I want to hear you say that to yourself because it's a great way to move out of all those lies and negativity and into the truth of that self-love. And it is an empowering way to be. Lastly, another way to manage the lies is to join my Facebook group. We have the Feed Your Soul community on Facebook, which is a positive place to get different thoughts about yourself, to get into that positive framework and to release those lies that you've been saying. We support each other in a positive community that is fully focused on all of our greatness. And you'll find the link to the Feed Your Soul community in the show notes. As we do in every podcast, we have doables. The doable is some way for us to get into action each week in order to move beyond what the struggle has been. This week, the struggle is about the lies that we tell ourselves, and we can continue on with those lies going unchecked, but I would love for you to start noticing those lies. I would love for your action step to be looking at what are the lies that you tell yourself. Start noticing what you're saying to yourself. What lies are you telling yourself? I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lies. Are any of those resonating with you? If not, what are the other lies that you tell yourself? Because I promise you, there are lies that you tell yourself that you might not be paying attention to. And start writing down those lies and letting them go. Use some of the release methods that we talked about. taking a walk. After you've written down those lies, start burning them or burn them in like a barbecue, or rip them up, or put them in the shredder, or stomp on them, or put them out in the river. But find a way to get rid of them and get them out of your head, out of your body, and onto the paper, and then release them. These are really important ways to move out of those lies and into the truth about who you are. I really wanted to talk about this idea of lies and the lies that you tell yourself, because I think it's super important way for you to move through the overeating and the binge eating and the over dieting, because we get caught up in using food to take care of ourselves because we're not telling ourselves the capital T real truth about who we are. And I encourage you to look inside and see those positive aspects that I know are true about you. I am so grateful that you are on this podcast today. I look forward to hearing how you're moving through these lies, and join us in the Facebook group, the Feed Your Soul community group, and let us know what lies you're releasing, because we want to support you. I want to support you moving through it. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I look forward to talking to you next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Feed Your Soul with Kim podcast. We come to you every Monday with fresh new ideas to help you end emotional eating and put food in its proper place as nourishment. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast and review it, and let us know what you think. Thank you for joining us.